do we even know what satisfied is for ourselves? Like, just start with the individual. Can I individually recognize or even be aware of when I am satisfied, or what that experience is like, or what that feels like? How would I know what satisfaction is for me? And I make that a clear distinction because I think we get bombarded with information about what satisfied is for this general collective.
Welcome to Are You Satisfied? A podcast that explores what a deeply satisfying and fulfilling life looks like and how to live it. I'm your host, Dr. Sarah Murphy, award-winning naturopathic doctor. Today's guest is the masterful life coach, Krista Petty. She's CEO and founder of Boldly Embody Life. She's a loving powerhouse of a human, and she's here today sharing her perspective gained from many years of coaching experience on how you can create deeper, truer satisfaction in your life. Welcome to the show, Krista Petty.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
So today, you guys, I have my personal life coach on the show. She's wonderful, and she's who I've hired to help me sort out how to be the most satisfied in my life. So I could think of no one better than to, invite her on the show here to talk to all of us about it. She's been working with individuals and groups and organizations for decades, right? Lots of people, lots of experience helping people in their lives. So, Krista, what does it take in all of these years of delving into what it is to be human and what we're doing here in our lives? Like, are there themes to what it takes to live a satisfying and fulfilling life? What are the keys?
Wow.
Big question. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. First of all, I'm so excited to celebrate this with you and that you're here and that we're having this conversation on your podcast. And that just delights me. And I think as far as I understand and have defined satisfaction is deeply satisfied to be here. So thank you for that. I always like to say that I've kind of been in the laboratory of human being for like 30 years in various environments and cultures and experiences and opportunities, both personal one-on-one coaching or group coaching, but also large group facilitation. And one of the things I think about immediately about when I thought about this podcast and when you asked me the question, I knew the title of it. I was like, do we even know what satisfied is for ourselves? Like, just start with the individual. Can I individually recognize or even be aware of when I am satisfied, or what that experience is like, or what that feels like? How would I know what satisfaction is for me? And I make that a clear distinction because I think we get bombarded with information about what satisfied is for this general collective, what we should be satisfied by, what we need to be driving towards, what we should be doing in order to reach this holy grail of satisfaction or fulfillment or whatever it is, that we may be striving for. I think we're so conditioned to do that. But I think we take less time to even ask, well, how would I know if I actually was satisfied? What does that feel like inside of my body? What is that experience like for me inside of the heart space or emotionally? What does that sound like? Or what is the thinking and thoughts when I am? So I think I would start there with I think spending more time reflecting internally, inside, right? So we talk a lot about this is an inside out journey to really find fulfillment or satisfaction. I believe starts with getting to know oneself, to even know how do I define satisfied and or fulfilled, and B, how would I know when I am? What does that feel like, sound like, look like, and what is that experience like for me as an individual? That's where I would start, and then would move from there to be able to discern and make distinct and different between my internal satisfaction, kind of monitor, engage, versus the external driven, what I should, need, would, in order to be satisfied according to the outside world. That's where I would start.
Yeah, that's good. So what does it feel like to be satisfied? Number one, we need to know that.
Yeah, like what does that feel like in my body? I immediately go, because I do somatic coaching, right? I immediately go to what is the sensation, physical sensations that are present, and if I don't stop it, well, I don't know. And I began to explore, even with like something as simple as eating. Do I know, and this is a great practice for me, right? Because I have lived a life of, I think, turning to food to satisfy other needs or desires or experiences that feel unfulfilled. And so if food can quote unquote satisfy that, then maybe I'll feel more satisfied, right? Because food's such a constant. Like it tastes, I can go to food and get consistent, constant, quote unquote, reliable, quote unquote, satisfaction. So then for me, it would be do I even know when I'm satiated or satisfied? And that could lead us into a whole nother conversation about like even recognizing, do we overcompensate? Do we undercompensate? How do we know when we're satiated? And, we've fueled the system in a way that feels satisfying. So I tend to use this, +2, -2 for my own practice, right? So I start to eat when I'm -2 level of hunger, right? If there's a baseline. And then I do my best, not always, but I do my best to stop when it feels like, okay, now I'm at a +2.
And why do you think we, because going for food or other comforts that aren't really the true thing that's going to satisfy us is I think a common thing that happens.
Please tell me I'm not alone there. There are other listeners out there, right?
Of course. So, but why do we do that? Like, if that's not our true desires, the true things that are going to fulfill us, why do you think we go after these more superficial, or maybe it's just easier? It's the easy fix.
Yeah, I think I would go to what I call the kind of 2 C's, which is comfort and convenience. Like if I'm already comfortable and it's familiar, and convenience. I mean, I think we live in a culture right now and a world that drives comfort and convenience. Like, yeah. Even though we have these personal development conversations, like get out of your comfort zone and take risks and do all, it's kind of nice idea and notion. But when it comes right down to it, I think, and there's challenge, right? Or the tension of challenge. I think we tend to reach for what's comfortable and convenient, what we already know.
Right. And so that's suggesting that perhaps the deeper things that will satisfy us are actually something that has some challenge or discomfort or newness to us, right? Like it might be not so easy.
Yeah, I believe that's true. I think most of us know that at some level. I think I immediately go to relationship, like how we have longed to so many clients of mine. I'm coaching them, and one of the big goals, one of the big juicy goals or areas in domain in their life that they long for deep satisfaction and fulfillment is to be in that primary, intimate, romantic relationship, that life partnering experience.
Right, but that's risky.
It is, isn't it? Like for all of us who have been there, and not to reach for the convenient or comfortable relationships that we've known, because we all have those too, right? But to really recognize what I desire, recognize what I really want. And when I think about desire around satisfaction and fulfillment, I don't just think about like desired outcome. I also think about desired feeling. How is it you want to feel when you reach that goal? Like, what is the experience you want to have? How do you want to feel when you're there? And then as we're going about achieving the goal or reaching the outcome, how can we be working on growing those desired feelings from the inside out? And I think that supports coming to know ever better what does satisfy us, what we do desire, what we do feel like we need and or want in a relationship or in life. And then how do we go about creating that?
And so satisfaction is a feeling, going back to where we started.
Yeah, I think it's a feeling and an experience. And when I think
Yeah.
experience, I think more than just a feeling. But yeah, definitely. I think there is these are, and I think oftentimes we don't think about that. Like, I know what the desired outcome is, what the achievement, the accomplishment, the outcome, because I think we're so conditioned in strive, drive, achieve, accomplish what's desired as outcome or goal or result, but not always what's the desired feeling you want to experience when I arrive there. Because I mean, how many times in my own life, but when working with clients, we finally reach the goal and they're like, damn, it doesn't feel like I thought it was going to feel.
Right.
I'm not experiencing the joy or the celebration or this fulfillment I thought I would experience once I achieved or attained the goal.
Right.
I thought it was in the goal, not inside myself, you know? Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah. Perhaps we should take everyone through a short experience in terms of tapping into the feeling of satisfaction
Yeah,
within.
I would love that. Let's do it.
Can you
So
lead it?
yeah, I would gladly lead it. So what I always love to do is whoever's listening to just wherever you are, seated, driving, standing, whatever, just feel your feet flat on the surface, and just imagining that your feet are now connecting deeply into the earth, almost like barefoot on in grass or earth, and just let the feet sink in ever more deeply into that, feeling connected. And then allowing yourself to just bring your awareness gently to your breath. And whatever the quality of your breath is right now, just bringing a gentle awareness to the breath, the inhale and the exhale. So feet connected to the earth, and then gentle awareness of the breath, the inhale and exhale. These two pieces, I believe, are so valuable just to bring us right here, right now. I can feel my feet on the earth, and I now am aware of my own breath, drawing that in, and then just gently exhaling that out. And bring to mind, if you can, a time where, according to your own definition, whatever that is for any of you as listeners, where you felt what you believe is satisfied, fulfilled. A moment, a time, an event. Maybe it happened just moments ago or today, or maybe it's been a long time, but just reach back there and connect to that. And that's the power of the mind. We can go right back there and just allow yourself to experience what were you feeling in the body, physical sensations of a moment or moments of satisfied. What are the physical sensations present when you feel satisfied? And just breathing into those. And just noticing if there's one sensation you connect with, is there another or another? Do you feel it in your heart sensation? Do you feel it in your belly, your hands, your head, your feet, your legs? What are the physical sensations? And then ever so gently, bringing that gentle awareness now, moment of satisfaction. What does it feel like? What are the feelings or emotions? Always having an emotional experience. And in moments of satisfaction, what are the feelings? How would you describe those? And just take a moment to connect to that. I love that I just saw a smile on your face. Yeah, and then just breathe into that. And if you gave that just turned that up or amplified that just a little bit more, that feeling, the emotion of satisfied. And then gently bringing that awareness to what's the nature of the thoughts? What do you think about when you're satisfied? What's the nature or focus of your thoughts in those moments of satisfaction? What does that sound like in you, in thought? And just amplifying that a bit, noticing that. And then if you can, just imagine yourself going up just above yourself, maybe a few feet just above, and you can experience the whole experience of satisfaction from that place, just maybe a few feet above. You can experience the physical sensations, you can experience the emotions and feelings, and you can bring awareness to the thinking and thoughts. And as you hold all three of those and all of that, notice what you long to do in those moments of satisfaction, while connected to the sensations, the emotions, the thinking, notice what you want to do or what action naturally longs to be taken. Just notice that. And then wherever you are in that, just taking a few deep breaths, feel your feet in the earth once again, just allowing that to come with you as you come back to this place, this space, this time, and bring with you your own experience, how it occurs inside of your system, your mind, your heart, your body, what your experience of satisfaction is. How would you know? How do you know when you're experiencing your experience of satisfaction? And when you're ready, just opening your eyes or continuing on or joining us back right here in this conversation. So I'm curious, what did you notice?
Me?
Yeah, you. Will you tell me?
Yeah, I will tell you. And I feel like it might be good for people to journal a little if they can and write it down.
Yeah.
So there was peace, there was calm, there was presence, there was a feeling that all is okay. There was a confidence and love within myself, like that I was good and okay. And there was also just this aliveness and like juicy, like it wasn't like peaceful, calm, quiet. It was like also this bubbling of like enjoyment of like full body being full with life and energy. And when I smiled, that experience was there. It was a little bit, it wasn't sexual, but it was like this sexual engagement with the world and life. Like there was some sort of relationship and connection that was very enjoyable.
Pleasure.
And pleasurable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I wanted to do in that, like my deepest desires in that state was to nurture myself, nurture others, nurture the planet, to dance, to enjoy like the experience of being alive and things like that. So perhaps that's taps into, the next step is knowing the feeling of satisfaction and then knowing what's going to bring me satisfaction, right? Like what do I want to be doing or creating, or where do I want to be to tap into that feeling? It has to do with, nurturing, healing myself and others and the world, and dancing.
What I love about that is that it's really common when I work with people that when we move into what does it feel like in you, what is that experience like in you when you feel satisfied or fulfilled, it feels meaningful or connected or deep, or however you want to describe that, whatever word you would place on that. And I think that's different perhaps and true for everyone. But for you, it's this, are you satisfied? What I find is people naturally, when given permission to say it, there is what they refer to as this kind of sexual, primal, pleasurable. And I liken that to creation, the creative life force energy, right? Which brings me back to the whole purpose of your podcast in allowing the imagination. Like Esther Perel, I love how she defines desire. She defines desire as owning the wanting. How great is that?
I love it.
And this kind of pleasurable and engaging and delighting, and I find that happens often when we start to really connect and can clearly define and experience what satisfied feels like. And what that experience is like is it feels oftentimes what people describe as creation, the life force creation and energy moving through us that longs to be expressed, that longs to move and express and nurture and share and dance and paint and gift and, those kinds of things.
The creative force.
Yeah, the creative force, right?
Ooh.
For creative professionals, like as we reconnect to our own unique expression and creation. Like perhaps that is the beautiful kind of deep well of satisfaction when we connect to that, access that again and again, and have, greater access or consistent access to that. I don't know. What do you think?
I love it. And I'm just wondering why we squash and suppress that wanting, or why maybe it's what we're, like, it's not acceptable to be that alive, I feel like, is what maybe I was taught somewhere along the way. Like,
well, I mean, show of hands of all the listeners, how many of us know that? Like, early on, if we were exuberant, if we saw color and energy, or we believed in fairies, or our imagination was allowed to move through and in and engage in life. And I call it the cheer down phenomenon. You need to cheer down. You are too bright. You are too much light. You are too much energy. We need to contain it. We need to control it, and we need to direct it, right? And I think there's so many of us, especially creatives, like your audience, creative professionals. I think so often in childhood or growing up, that was, reined in, taught to pull that in. Cheer down is what the phenomenon I call it. Don't be too joyful.
Yeah.
Don't be too light. Don't be too celebratory. Don't have too great of enthusiasm. And I'll tell you a story about myself. A dear friend of mine that I've worked with, who is a phenomenal coach in her own right, was coaching me at one point and said, you have John Wayne enthusiasm. Like, you have the enthusiasm of John Wayne. Because anytime I would go to celebrate something in my life, and this was years and years and years ago, it would be like, well, I guess there's something to celebrate there, but I'm not quite sure what it is. And like, she literally held up the mirror and had me see, like, why are you so resistant to be enthusiastic or to celebrate at the level that you might actually experience it? How quickly I will dampen that, how quickly I will temper that, how quickly, because we can't be premature celebrating. It can't be too much, too early, too soon, because then what if I fail at it, or what doesn't turn out, and then I look like a fool?
Right.
Where did I get the conversation that I would be foolish for being too enthusiastic about something I desire?
And like, there's a right and a wrong way to express and to, right, or to be, or, yeah. The right and wrong.
I think we're in the cheer down phenomenon.
Like, this is how you create, this is how you color, this is how, this is
inside the lines, according to the structure and framework. I mean, look at our education system. Our education system feeds right into that. And I don't want to go there right or wrong, but it does perpetuate some of these limiting, restrictive beliefs and culturalizations and indoctrinations we get early on. Like, be responsible, be mature, grow up. All those things are important, but not at the expense of creativity and imagination and expression.
Yeah.
And I got a big dose of be responsible, like, I got a big dose of it, as me and my siblings got to raise ourselves, because we were, lived with our father, who was a single dad, and he was an airline pilot. So we literally were at home for days on our own as teenagers, growing ourselves up. So I got a big dose early on. Like, be mature, be responsible, do what's right or wrong, be safe. Age and appropriate responsibility is the psychological term. And guess what? It still shows up as an adult.
So to break free from these boundaries that we've been taught, it sounds like tapping into creative processes can be useful. Maybe tapping into the child within, like more playful, right? Like, not being so adult, like allowing some time to be a kid. And
I think for us to sample, like to not go to what we're comfortable or convenient, even as creatives, I think we can get rutted in what we think our creative expression route is, to explore more of the buffet, to explore more of the possibility. Like, if going out and walking and dancing in the rain and splashing in mud puddles has you feel the experience of satisfaction, like similar sensations, similar emotions and feelings, similar, desire, then I think exploring that, practicing that. If dance or singing or coloring or painting or playing an instrument or learning something new or tending to your plants or whatever it would be for you, it could be anything, puzzles, solving problems.
Yeah. And for people, if they're not sure what it is, like, how would you advise people explore that? Like if they say, I don't like to do that. I don't like to dance, or, like maybe that's not their thing, which is fine. It's my thing. But, for the person who maybe's, really lost touch with what it is, like how can they start exploring that?
Yeah. One of the things that often I say about it is that there's some physical engagement involved. Okay. So that the body is actually in motion somehow in some way, whether it's an arm in a stroke or it's movement in this dance, or if it's, creating something or digging and planting something, but the body, the physical body is engaged and activated in whatever that is. So that would be the number one thing. The second thing that I coach to all the time is, when we're in those conversations, I'm in those conversations with a client, oftentimes I'll say, I'm less interested in what it is. I'm more interested in that you pick something so that if nothing else, it's a point of deviation.
Right.
So it's not about getting the right one. Just experiment. Just pick up something and try it on for a few days and see what happens. And if you're like, it's not really doing it for me, I'm not experiencing what I can kind of recall and remember is what I experience when I'm satisfied, great, move to something else.
Yeah.
But less interested in what it is and finding the right one, the best one. I think we get so conditioned in that. Just find something. And if not, great, find something else. Go experiment. Go explore. Make it an adventure.
Yeah. I love it. So any other tips for creating more satisfaction in life? Number one, knowing what it feels like.
First of all,
let's
take
recap.
some time. To revisit that, to reflect on that, and start with, how do I define satisfaction?
Yeah.
What does that mean to me?
Mm-hmm.
How is that meaningful for me? Number two, how do I know when I'm experiencing it?
Yeah.
So really reflecting back and taking some time to connect with, what is that experience like inside of me? Not necessarily for other people, but for me. What are the physical sensations? What are the emotions and feelings? What's the thinking? And what does it have me want to move in or do? Okay. And then third, I think, is being willing to experiment and explore and find something, some sort of practice, or, and I like to say deliberate practice. So not just, try a bunch of stuff, absent-mindedly, or because I'm supposed to, or because Sarah said so, or Krista said so, but rather because I'm deeply curious for myself to get to know who I am in satisfaction and what creates that or provides access. And the last thing I would say is build community around that. Like, explore it, be in conversation, be willing to challenge yourself in it. Ask the question around friends or family or community about learning what it is for them also. Perhaps not as the first place to start, although maybe, but as a part of continuing to deepen in your own awareness and learning around what satisfies you. Like, are you satisfied? How would I know? What does that mean to me? How would I know? And maybe I can learn some things from other people too. So I guess that's what I would offer.
I love it. And we're building community here on this podcast. So if people want to message me in this podcast and let me know what satisfaction feels like to them, I would love to know what does satisfaction feel like to you, and what are you creating and doing? What are the things that satisfy you? Very curious to know. So write into the podcast, let us know.
I would love to know too.
And I'll share that with you, Krista, any responses from this episode. And Krista, if people would like to connect with you further, how can they do that?
Yeah, if there anything about this resonates with them, or they want to know more, or are curious, or would like to have a conversation with me, they can reach me at Krista at boldlyembodylife.com. or they can go to my website, boldlyembodylife.com, and book a session with me. You can right on my website right there, book a 30-minute discovery call and session with me to explore and have conversation about what I offer and how we might work together. So that's what and how people can contact me.
Wonderful. I highly recommend it, you guys. She's rocking my life. So yeah, if you want some life coaching, Krista Petty is your girl. Well, thanks, Krista. I hope to have you back on a future episode, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Can I please come back? Can you promise, pinky promise, I can come back and we can do this again? Pinky promise. Yay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Are You Satisfied podcast. Links for any mentions from this episode are available in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with me, go to drsarahmurphy.com. That's drsarahmurphy.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. Definitely tell all your friends about it and leave a review. See you next week.